Shadow football. Sonia Bompastor was probably the best possible replacement for Emma Hayes when she left at the end of last season. Her Lyon side has been one of Europe's best over the last few years, and everyone hoped she would bring her success to Kingsmeadow at the start of the season. And she has. Her Chelsea team has won every single competitive game so far, and now we're left with two questions. How do you beat Chelsea, and who's going to do it first? To answer those questions, let's take a look at how Chelsea actually play under Bompastor. If I sound different to you, well, it's because I got a new microphone, so that's probably why I sound different. But yeah, got a new microphone. Hopefully it sounds better. At Lyon, she mainly used the 4-3-3 system, really focusing on gaining control of the midfield. However, at Chelsea, she stuck with the 4-2-3-1 that Emma Hayes used. This means that she has relinquished the control of the midfield in favour of a more attacking mindset. She had players like Damaris Aguirola and Amandine Henry at Lyon who could control the tempo of the game from the base of the midfield. But at Chelsea, she doesn't really have that kind of player, with Sjoeke Nusken the player asked to loosely fill that role. The 4-2-3-1 is the formation that suits Chelsea the best given the wealth of attacking talent available, whilst the midfield two act more like a piston. If one goes, the other drops. And to be honest, in terms of how the teams attack, on the surface, Bompastor hasn't changed too much from what Emma Hayes left behind. The big difference between Bompastor and Hayes' Chelsea teams is structure. Emma Hayes had a pretty loose setup, where players could roam about, switch positions, generally do whatever they want and express themselves. Sonia Bompastor's Chelsea has some of that fun stuff too, but underneath a much more rigorous structural setup. The key component here is that Bompastor likes to build up out wide. Whenever Chelsea have the ball, the first thought is to play it to the fullback or the wingers. The build-up always starts out wide, as this is where Chelsea will start to look to play the ball forwards. Bronze gets the ball from Buchanan. Even though LJ is an option on the inside, Bronze immediately looks for Rittinkanerud down the wing. She's able to find that crucial inside pass to Nusken, who then pirouettes beautifully and sends a lovely ball through for Mayra Ramirez. She carries well and takes a shot, but Fox was equal to the task and concedes the corner. From which, Ramirez does this, and Chelsea take an early lead and would then go on to win the game. If Chelsea can't find an opening on one wing, they'll just switch it over to the other side and try again from there. Bright is on the ball here and looks to play it out wide on the left. This is where Chelsea's attack starts. A bit of really cool passing happens, and Baltimore, spotting that nothing is really on the left side, looks for the inside ball and finds Cuthbert, who also loves a pirouette and lays it off to Aggie Beaver-Jones. The only thought on her mind is to get it out wide to Rittinkanerud on the other side. Everton are at 6s and 7s at this point, and JRK finds a pass inside to Nusken, who just does, this. Oh, this is ridiculous. What a cross, what a goal. This Chelsea team is utterly ridiculous. If you look at most of Chelsea's goals so far this season, most of them have come from Chelsea building up out wide first, and then moving the ball inside. They rarely ever build up through the middle. Bompastor's attacking system is designed to free up the wingers and have them terrorize defenses with their dazzling footwork. They're the most destructive players in the team, and the player that has benefited from this the most is, unsurprisingly, Johanna Rittinkanerud. JRK's main strength is her bravery at attempting take-ons. She'll always back herself to beat the defender no matter what, and that is a quality that is extremely essential for Sonia Bompastor's wingers. Rittinkanerud last season was also given this role, but Emma Hayes' system isn't necessarily reliant on the wingers to provide that decisive attacking punch, which meant that she did go missing every once in a while. But this season, Bompastor has just come in and said, "We're going to get the ball to you and you're going to create all of our chances." JRK said, "Okay." And Millie had a bright idea to cross the ball in, and Rittinkanerud decided to pull off this absolutely insane finish. I watched this game live, well, not at the stadium but on my laptop, and I made the mistake of holding my cup of coffee when the volley went in. It was a devastating finish, much like the devastating mess I made on my desk by spilling my coffee. It's been amazing to see her go from strength to strength this season, and I think she's gone up another level. On the other side, Guro Reiten has been a mainstay in the team, whether at number 10 or on the left, but over the last few weeks she's been on the left, her natural position. She's not the same type of winger as Reiten Kanerud. She's a very technical player, with good spatial awareness and movement, and has a fantastic left foot for sending in crosses and scoring goals. Her strength isn't to Graham Hansen her way past defenders, and without the responsibility of running at and beating defenders, Reiten has the freedom to roam and pick up the ball wherever she wants. Whilst Niamh Charles is injured, Sonia Bompastor has been playing at left back instead of Ashley Lawrence and Eve Perisset, actual, natural fullbacks, to provide that injection of pace and trickery from the left side. Bompastor wants her wingers to beat defenders, to upset the apple cart of the opposition defence, which is why Baltimore has been given the nod. I suspect that Niamh Charles will retain her spot at left back when she's back fit, leaving Baltimore and Reiten to battle for the left wing spot. Even though Bompastor and Hayes use the same formation, Hayes wanted her players to move freely around the pitch. She liked a very fluid attack where her players switched positions and picked up the ball wherever they wanted, dragging defenders away and creating space through their movement. Bompastor's system is a lot more rigid. Players stick to their positions and space will open up through individual brilliance rather than team movement. Bronze takes the throw here and look at everyone's positions here. Everyone is in their respective positions as Ramirez plays the ball to Beaver Jones. A wonderful individual piece of skill takes her past Woodham and space has opened up because Gibbons now has to watch Beaver Jones and Ramirez at the same time with Woodham beaten. Beaver Jones finds that crucial inside ball to Ramirez, who sends in a beautiful cross to LJ on the left for a pretty simple tap-in that my nan could have finished. At no point in this attacking phase did any Chelsea player run into another teammate's position and area. Bompastor has clearly told her players to hold their shape in attack and rely on the speed of play and individual brilliance to pull defenses out of shape. Neither approach is better than the other, but with such a talented team at their disposal, you could play any system and these players will still deliver. Now let's look at how they defend. Chelsea press high, but they don't press aggressively. They're not trying to win the ball back directly from the opposition. What they're trying to do is force the opponent to make a mistake, and then they will pounce. Everton get a goal kick here and Chelsea are really high up. Megan Finnegan's options here are a ball to Olsen, hoofing it long to Katja Snoys, playing it back to Brosnan, kicking it out for a throw-in, kicking it out for a corner, taking a shot from there, attempting the crossbar challenge, kicking it out of Goodison Park, taking it to her own corner and waste time in the 43rd minute. Any of those options would have been better than to pass it to Beatrice Sari, who is surrounded by 3 Chelsea players hunting for ankles. Sari was going to play it back to Finnegan, but JRK cut that option off, which meant that she was then left without any good options since she was facing the wrong way. Her 1 second of indecision was immediately noticed by Erin Cuthbert, who raced in, won the ball as she always does, and put the ball in the back of the net. Finnegan wasn't under a lot of pressure, but the entire Chelsea team put themselves in positions where they were only a few steps away from pressing any Everton player that got the ball, and when Finnegan's mistake came, Chelsea punished them. Quite a few of their goals this season so far have come from this kind of passive style of pressing with a hunter's mentality. Teams playing Chelsea will now think twice about playing out from the back since Chelsea possess a myriad of intelligent defenders. Lucy Bronze may not have the blistering pace from 10 years ago, but that woman is the most high IQ fullback in the league. She was the reason Mary Fowler didn't get into the game at all when City came to town, as she shut everything down on her side expertly. If Chelsea don't press up high, and they usually don't against the stronger teams in the league, then the name of the game of Bompastor's defense is organisation and control. The whole team stay in a 4-4-1-1 defensive shape, and the aim is to stop any kind of attack coming centrally. Chelsea want to push you out wide and keep you out wide. They're happy to let the opposition have the ball if it means they're playing in the area Chelsea want them to play in. This kind of bend don't break defense is accomplished through cohesion and a collective attitude to not let anything through. Chelsea are happy to concede the ball and let Katie McCabe run on freely on the left-hand side. Look at how narrow the Chelsea team are. Every player is connected to each other, organised, and there are no gaps to be found. They're almost inviting Arsenal to play the ball inwards, but have the confidence to say, yeah, go on, play it inwards. but we'll keep it out. McCabe does find the ball inwards to Ford, but look at how quickly Buchanan and Bronze smother her to concede the corner. If we take a look at the 3 goals Chelsea have conceded so far this season, one was a freak goal from Amanda Nilden, one came from an individual error from Buchanan, Martha Thomas doing a fantastic job closing her down, causing the Canadian to panic like she ran out of maple syrup at home, and commit a dumb foul when she could have just passed the ball back to Lucy Bronze, leaving Evelina Summanen to convert the resulting free kick. Both of those goals came from individual errors instead of a defensive system error. The goal that Caitlin Ford scored against Chelsea came about like this. Arsenal looked to build up through the right-hand side. McCabe here has all of her options going forwards cut off. Reiten and Nusken are stopping anything from going inwards centrally, which means McCabe's only option is to go backwards. She finds Little, and because she's a little bit central, Ramirez goes, "Hell no," and wins the ball from her. Both teams kind of football for a bit, and Reiten breaks forward. Ramirez is behind her, LJ is quite narrow, and Rittenkanudut is running in behind. Reiten's only real option here is to give it to LJ. Williamson makes a very brave decision to cut the ball off at the source, and with the Chelsea front 4 all bunched up on this side, Arsenal spread the ball to the other side instantly, and JRK is forced to sprint back into position. Rittenkanudut would usually be here, in her right wing position in terms of football, and either LJ or Ramirez would be the one to press Mariona. JRK bites in needlessly, taking her out of the equation, and Emily Fox can drive out the space the Swedish sensation was supposed to be in and gives the ball to Ford. From here, Ford beats Lucy Bronze way too easily and slots the ball into the back of the net. This is, in my opinion, the best way to score against Chelsea, catching them during the period where they're transitioning from defense to attack. This is the moment where Chelsea's defense will be the least organized because they're thinking about attacking. Chelsea are able to snap into their defensive shape quite quickly since their players all have extremely high work rates, which doesn't leave a huge amount of time to penetrate their defense. Arsenal did this quite well honestly, pressing the Chelsea wide areas and making it difficult for them to gain any momentum for their build-up. It led to a few turnovers in the Chelsea half, but they never capitalized on any of these opportunities. So, with Chelsea currently unbeaten, the question is, how do you beat them? Well, one way to breach their defense is to do what Arsenal did and try to suffocate them during their build-up, not allowing them to gain any momentum going out wide in the first place. Millie Bright is a fantastic defender, but she's quite slow. Laura Kaminsky saw this as a point to exploit, and Crystal Palace got in behind them multiple times actually. They deployed a 5-4-1, which meant that Rittenkanudut here had 2 players to watch, the left centre-back Gibbons and the left wing-back Woodham, allowing them to play the ball freely as she couldn't commit to either one of them. Lucy Bronze would then watch the left midfielder, which was Millie Geil, but Katie Stengel was stood there for this phase, and with Bronze occupied by Stengel, Bright was left isolated and Geil was able to run in behind into space. She delivered a poor pass, but this is an area where Chelsea can be exploited if the players produce some quality once they're in behind. A third way is to focus on the crucial inside pass that Chelsea always make from wide out to in. Chelsea like to go wide to wide, and stopping the ball from going into the middle could be a tactic that could throw Chelsea off their game. So, with all that said, it seems like a team that has fast wingers, consistent quality on the ball, that likes to dominate the midfield, possibly in the midfield 3, is the recipe for success against Bompastor's Chelsea. Well, I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot like Manchester City. So how did Chelsea beat Manchester City? Chelsea were organised and did not let City build anything down the middle. Anytime City wanted to be on the ball in the centre, Chelsea piled in and ushered them out. City may have had 63% possession, but Chelsea were always the team in control. Bronze and the 30th most popular city in the US shut down Fowler and Fugino brilliantly. And to be honest, neither player is an out-and-out winger that has blistering pace and can dribble past defenders consistently. The loss of Lauren Hemp to injury really hurt City as it left them without a player with an extremely high work rate and quality on the left-hand side, which was a shame as Lucy Bronze doesn't have the pace to keep up with Hemp. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at City regarding Chloe Kelly's situation, but had she started, she would have been better at exploiting the fact that Sandy Baltimore is not a natural left back. Her pace and trickery would have caused Chelsea a fair few problems. If City were to attack out wide, my thought was to play Jess Park out on the right hand side, and start Laura Coombs in midfield, as she's a fantastic box-to-box midfielder capable of linking the defense to attack. The only way City were able to actually have possession in the middle of the pitch was to boot the ball long to Bunny Shaw and have her win the ball in the air. This, in the 27th minute, was the first time City got a hold of the ball in the central area. Look at how narrow Chelsea are as the ball comes into Jess Park. The birthplace of Michael Phelps is more worried about Park than Fujino at this point, because the best case scenario for her is for Park to actually play the ball to Fujino. Fujino's strength is more her movement rather than her dribbling ability, and if this was Chloe Kelly, Baltimore probably would have been sent back to Maryland. But Park decides to turn back into traffic, and this ultimately comes to nothing. City actually had a great chance 10 minutes later when Shaw turned into Sophie Roman-Hogg and won an aerial duel against Natalie Bjorn. And if Jill Roord had the foresight to attack more aggressively and be here, this would have presented a fantastic opportunity for City, as Millie Bright would have been dragged out of position to press Roord, leaving space behind her for either Shaw or Fujino to run into. But Chelsea's defense held out, and as usual, Ramirez locked in her weekly target of bullying a centre-back, and Alana Kennedy was unfortunately the victim as the Colombians scored a fantastic effort. And a few minutes later, Guro Reiten killed off the game with a brilliant curling finish. There are ways to breach this watertight, bend-don't-break Chelsea defense, but who's going to beat them first in the WSL? Well, I think provided Lauren Hemp is fit, the return fixture against Manchester City will be their toughest test. And you know what? I'm going to call it right now. March will be a tough time for Chelsea, as I think they'll drop points against Brighton and then lose to Manchester City. I think Dario Vidosic is doing a fantastic job down south, and he's got his team playing some scintillating football. Anyhow, Sonia Bompastor has done an impeccable job engineering the system for her new Chelsea side this season, and the results have shown that. Chelsea are a very well organised, cohesive team, each player ready to leave the pitch in a coffin for each other. The quality and depth they have going forward is unmatched in the league, and bear in mind, Niamh Charles and Lauren James are still out injured, and when they return, my god will this team be scary. It remains to be seen who'll beat them first in the WSL, but one thing's for sure, Sonia Bompastor has created a monster of a team.